Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Faithful Agent Podcast. This episode and the next two episodes are going to be a little bit different. Something that's been on my mind and heart as I have been growing in my understanding of real estate in the industry and how do we succeed at the highest levels is this concept of what I call the PDA formula. And so I'm going to be talking about that and kind of teaching through that over these next few episodes. It's just in hope, honestly, that it will be an encouragement to you. I know it has been when I've taught it before for people in person, for people live, and I hope that it might be an encouragement for you. Now, this is going to be a truncated version. It's going to be a little bit shorter. I want to respect your time on these episodes, but know that if you want to learn more, if you ever want me to come teach it for you, just reach out. I'd love to share this with you. So today we're just going to dive into the PDA formula and what does that specifically mean. Now, I've also put these up on YouTube. You can go check them out so you can see the slides as well if you wanted to check those out too. But what does it mean? PDA, when people think about that, when I tell them the PDA formula, they think of public displays of affection. Now, that's not what this is. This is not high school where people are holding hands. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is how do we build a predictable and dollar productive business that aligns with who you are? A predictable, dollar productive business that aligns with who you are. And I'm going to break down all three of those pieces: predictable, dollar productive, meaning high return, high profit, and alignment. And we're going to go through each of those individually in these next three episodes. So I want to start by encouraging you that you can succeed by being yourself. In fact, in my opinion, that's the best way for you to succeed. As believers, we were all wired and given specific gifts that no one else has because the Lord made you unique. He gifted you uniquely. And because of that, and in this industry, so often it's common, and we're going to dive in, but so often it's common for us to just follow the crowd and do what the industry tells us to do, as opposed to saying, hold on, how do I find who I am and how I was made? And specifically understanding if the Lord made me this way, then I probably should act in accordance with that. And not only should I do that to honor him, but that's also going to be the best way for me to have success. So that's what we're going to dive into with alignment. The truth is, in my experience, the more you are aligned with who you are, the greater your success will be. The more you're aligned, the greater your success will be. And I want to start with this story. This story is from 2017. It was December 2017. I was having a Christmas party, client party event at my house. And the story is about a sweet woman named Lorinda. Now, Lorinda, I had just met her a few months ago. A few months earlier at a VIP wine tasting event that we had done for our clients at our house. And she was the person who came and did the wine tasting for us. And so I met her, got to know her, had a conversation with her, and just said, hey, do you have an agent you would refer to a friend or family thinking about buying or selling a home? And she said, no, I don't. And I told her, hey, I'd love to stay in touch with you. In fact, why don't you come to our next client event in December? So fast forward, here we are, December 2017. We're at this Christmas party at my house for my current clients and friends, part of how we do our business. And my wife and I are talking to Lorinda, getting to know her. And we find out that Lorinda is a single mom. Her son at the time was 9 years old. And I say, hey, that's incredible. Then I want you to mark this down in your calendar in March. So this is going to be March 2018. In March, I want you to know that we're going to do a parents' night out. That's our next client event, a parents' night out. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to come drop off your kids, and you all are going to take 3 hours to just go do whatever it is that you want to do. Now, side note, we're never doing that again. We never did it again. That was terrible for us, me and my team, because there was ridiculous amounts of kids everywhere, and it was chaos. But here's what happened. So I tell her that. March 2018, you're going to be able to come drop off your kids. And she says, wow, literally says, Garrett, wow, why would you do that? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, why would you offer to watch our children? And my response was, just because I'm a real estate agent doesn't mean I don't genuinely care and love my people. And she started crying. And I said, hey, what's going on? She said, I just think that's amazing. You know what? I'll come. I'm going to drop off my son, and I'm going to take my dad out on a date. So fast forward to March, and here she is. Lorinda drops off her son. He's a sweet kid. Drops off her son, and she takes her dad out for dinner and a movie. And what a joy! First of all, let me just pause there. What a joy to be able to serve someone in that way. But this kind of business is in alignment with who I am. Watching someone's kids, now again, not going to do that again, but throwing events, being intentional with how do I love on my people? How do I care for them effectively? How do I care for them well? That aligns with who I am. And because of that, it moved this woman, this sweet woman, Lorinda, so much that it brought tears to her eyes in the middle of our Christmas party, because it was so thoughtful and it was outside of what she would expect from somebody who's in the real estate industry or just someone in general, right? But it aligned with who I was. So that was the win. That was the victory. That was the success that we were going for. We got to serve her and her dad. But fast forward a year later, I get a call from a woman who says, "Hey, Garrett, I just want you to know that I'm looking to buy a house, but I know a lot of agents." This is almost verbatim what she said. I know a lot of real estate agents, but I was talking to my friend Lorinda today, and she told me about what you did for her, and she told me about what you did for her family. Garrett, I want to work with somebody like that. Will you help me buy a house? And the answer was, of course, right? I'd love to help you. I'd love to serve you. What's my point in saying that, though? Acting in alignment with who I was and who I was created to be, and just loving on people effectively and well, that was the win. The byproduct of doing that well and acting in alignment was my business grew. People wanted to be in business with me because that was the character and the nature of how I was going to serve people. This is the goal of alignment. Now, one of the challenges that we have in real estate is we have this typical agent path that I talk about all the time, this typical agent path that if we're in total alignment, we've got a business that's profitable, we've got time freedom, we've got choice freedom, maybe we have help in our business, we have family time. But what we typically see is we're headed on this straight and narrow, and then we have a bad client, and we shift off course a little bit. And then our lead generation is a little bit too chaotic, so we shift again. We aren't making the money that we need to make, so we move a little bit more off the path, and our business is inconsistent, and so now we're even further away from where we intended to be, and we're out of alignment. Our income's inconsistent. Our calendar's chaotic. We've got sporadic family time. We're too often choosing the showing over our kids' soccer game, and now we think, man, I'm so far out of alignment on where I intended to be, and all of these aspects of real estate that are difficult and challenging have just knocked us off course, right? That's so common. Well, the question is, how are we going to get back on track? And that's my hope for us, is not only do we get back on track, but we act more in alignment with how the Lord made us and who we were wired to be. Because not only, as I said before, is that the best way for us to honor the Lord, but it's also the way for us to succeed at the highest possible level. So for those of you who don't know me, here's a little bit about who I am. I've been in business for 9 years. I've sold over 550 homes, all by referral. I've been out at active production for 2 years. I've got one agent and one admin, and they're amazing, and they handle all the business. I take off every other Friday. I take a day date with my wife every other Wednesday. Don't work on the weekends, and I'm certainly the owner of the Maroon Group, which is my real estate team. But what I'm most passionate about is being the CEO and co-founder of The Faithful Agent and this podcast with my brother Tyler. And we've got 4 little kiddos, Hattie, Dylan, Ivy, and Zoe, 6, 4, 2, and 3 months old. So a little bit about me. And just want to share that with you. And this is why alignment is so important to me, because I think there's a lot of us out here who have children or families, or maybe we have regrets because of how we missed our families while we were too busy building our business. My deep desire, and what I understand and know in Scripture, is that what I'm required to do is to love and serve and shepherd my family. I'm not required to go build a business that causes me to work 60 hours a week and be gone. That is not a biblical biblical concept. Doesn't mean that there's not seasons of that. Don't hear me say that, but it's not a biblical command. Whereas shepherding and caring for my family, or if you're a wife or if you're a mom or whatever your situation, we have biblical responsibilities that we must uphold in order to honor the Lord. And working 80 hours a week and being gone is not one of those. And so being in alignment with who we are, there are people in your life right now, loved ones in your life right now, that are hoping and waiting for you to figure this out because they miss spending time with you. Let me say that again. There are people that love you in your life that are waiting for you to figure this out because they just miss spending time with you. I want us to figure that out together. So let's dive in. Here we go. With alignment. I think it's funny. A couple months ago, I went to a chiropractor. I was having a lot of pain in my neck and my head, and I was having really bad headaches. And so I went to the doctor. I tried that first. I researched. I took Tylenol. Right. I did all of these things, and none of them actually helped until finally someone suggested to me, maybe you need to go to see a chiropractor. And I was thinking, a chiropractor? Why do I need an adjustment if I have headaches? That doesn't make sense. Well, I go to the chiropractor, and she does whatever test that she does, and she says, you know what, Garrett, your spine is out of alignment. Your hips are out of alignment. And I don't really know what that means, but she said, I can fix that, right? I can put you back. So she does her adjustment, and she fixes my spine, fixes my hips, and puts me back into alignment. And guess what happens the next day? My headache's gone. And now, why do I tell you this? Because I think that so often we see these symptoms of being out of alignment, and that's stress, that's chaos, that's running around all over the place, not knowing where our business is going to come from, spending way too much money, chasing what the industry tells us to chase. And we look at those and we try to solve the problem in the wrong way. We go to the doctor, we ask for medicine. Maybe we say, well, I just need to make more cold calls, or maybe I need to spend more money on Zillow, or whatever it is. And we don't actually get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem for me was not that I needed to take medicine. It was that I was out of alignment. And when my body got back in alignment, my headaches went away. When you get your business back in alignment, the headaches of the stress and the chaos, the lack of lead generation, the lack of consistency, the lack of profitability, the lack of time freedom, when you get back into alignment, the headaches of those things go away. There's so much value to being in alignment. Dr. Benjamin Hardy says, you can't beat someone else at being them, just like someone else cannot beat you at being you. You can't beat someone else at being them, just like someone else cannot beat you at being you. So I use this example all the time. I'm going to use it here. And if you're listening on the podcast, just picture these in your head. In a race, in the water, in a swimming race, in the water, who wins, a shark or a world-class swimmer? A shark does, right? A shark wins, not the world-class swimmer. Who wins in a race? A Lamborghini or a 9-passenger van? The Lamborghini wins, right? Who wins in a race, me or Tyler? I actually think it would definitely be Tyler. Former pro athlete, and I like donuts, so pretty sure Tyler would win. But my point is this: why do they win? Why would the Lamborghini beat the 9-passenger van in a race? Why would the shark beat the professional swimmer in a race in the water? Why? Because that's what they were made to do. They were specifically created for that purpose. If you were doing a contest on who could hold the most passengers, well, the 9-passenger van would win over the Lamborghini, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is they win because they were created specifically, designed specifically, given unique characteristics in order to accomplish the mission set out in front of them. The Lamborghini needs to go fast. It was created to go fast. The 9-passenger van wasn't. And so if the Lamborghini ever decided, I need to hold 9 people in my car, and the 9-passenger van said, I need to be the fastest car out there on the market, well, they would never succeed. They would keep literally spinning their wheels and never making progress because they're acting outside of how they were uniquely created. How often are we doing that too? We are uniquely gifted and created and designed for a specific purpose, but it's so common that we act outside of that. Albert Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. There's a lot of, quote, fish in our industry that are being told you must climb a tree. And because of that, we feel like failures. Because of that, we think, I can't do this business. Because you were created uniquely, I'm going to keep saying that, to be a fish, to swim in the open waters, to be effective in that. And instead, the industry comes and says, no, if you don't cold call, if you don't door knock, if you don't buy Zillow leads, if you don't be on social media, if you don't do all of these things the industry says, which there's no wrong or right way to build your business. What I mean is you're just following what the industry tells you, even though it's out of alignment with who you are, and you just sit there saying, why is this not working? Well, because fish can't climb trees. And what I don't want for you is for you to sit there and think, well, I must be a failure because I can't do this, because I can't climb a tree. I remember early on in my career, it was 2016, it was my second year in the industry. I had sold 27 homes my first full year, and in my first half year, I'd sold 14. So this is my second full year in the industry in 2016. I'm on the Agent Leadership Council with Keller Williams, which is a group of agents that help lead the office. And I was the youngest person in the room by far. I was 29 years old and the newest person to the industry. We're going around the room early on in that year, and the CEO of the office, the team leader, is asking, what's everybody's goal for the year? I happen to be last, so I listen to everybody's goal, and it comes to me, and I say, here's my goal. I want to sell 50 homes this year, all by referral. And instead of someone saying, that's great, I love it, I encourage you, literally the response was, Garrett, that's not possible. What else are you going to do? That was my team leader, the person that was supposed to encourage me. And I look around the room, and the other agents who are really good and have been around for a long time are absolutely agreeing and saying, yeah, you can't do that. You need to do other things. And I think because I was young and naive and certainly still stubborn, and I honestly think because of the Lord's kindness, I said, no, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And by the Lord's kindness, I figured out how to do it and did it 7 years in a row. But here's my point, is even in my experience, when I said I have a goal, the industry immediately said, that's great that you're a fish, but now you need to go climb a tree if you want to survive. And the truth is, if I had gone out and said, oh, is that true? I need to cold call 3 hours a day. I don't even know that I'd still be in the industry, right? Because it would burn me out, because that's not at all who I am. I can't act outside of my own design for that long and still exist in an industry at a high level. And not only would I be burned out from doing work that I wasn't created to do, not only would the 9-passenger van just get exhausted by trying to be the fastest car on the street every single day, but the reality is, for me, I wouldn't have succeeded very well either. There's no way that I could be at the top of the ladder, to be at the top end of success in this career, if I was trying to do what someone told me to do, even though it was counter to how I naturally behave. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid, a failure, believing it can't do it. That's not what I want for us. Who are you? How are you made? Let me give you a great example. Jesse, who's my agent on my team, started with me in 2020, had a half year, then had a full year with me, 2021, started to do really well, works exclusively by referral like I do. And so at the beginning of 2022, I said, Jesse, you really got this down, man. We're gonna level this up. We're gonna go even more deep into who you are and how you naturally show up anyways, and we're gonna build a business off of that, because that's how you were created to be. So we're not gonna run from that. We're gonna just dive into that. So Jesse loves to fish. He fishes all the time. And so said, hey, how do we build a business off of you fishing? And this is totally his idea. It was a great idea. He started a Facebook group called Real Estate, REEL, a play on fishing, and he invited his friends who enjoy fishing, that were like him, that enjoyed those same things. He only had 40 people in the group. Year one, 40 people in the group. That's it. He sold 7 houses from that group. 7 houses, because he acted in alignment with who he was. He was honest about this is who I am. And instead of, which we often hear, hey, if you want to have a brand, you got to pick how you want to show up, and you got to show up that way every single day, all the time. To me, honestly, that sounds exhausting. I don't know how to just show up as something that's not me every single day. I would forget, I would be worn out, I'd be exhausted, right? What I want to do is say, who are you? How are you naturally going to behave? And let's just show up like that more intentionally and build a business that way, because other people want to connect with you just like Jesse. Jesse, the people around him wanted to connect with him on a love of fishing, and so he gave them that opportunity. And guess what? He has 7 deals from that in 1 year, his first year, off of 40 people. 7 transactions closed. So what did he do the next year? He doubled down. And then he also started, because he loves really fancy, expensive bourbons. I don't get it, but he loves it. So he started a group of people who love to try and taste and share really fancy bourbons. Same thing. He gathered a small group of people who have things in common with him, that, and it's in a way that he's already going to show up anyways. He invited people in to experience that with him, and he's growing his business. That's what I mean by alignment, by acting intentionally in the ways you're already going to show up, not trying to create some sort of identity and try to be that every single day. That's exhausting. It's impossible. And that's even counter to the way the Lord created us. Robert Greene, in his book Mastery, said, "It is a scientific fact that genetically every one of us is unique. Our exact genetic makeup has never happened before or will never be repeated. It will never again, will there be another Garrett? Will there be another Tyler?" Right? Now, if Tyler were here, he would say, praise God, there'll be another Garrett. The world only needs one of them, and he's probably not wrong. But here's my point. You're unique. No one will ever be exactly like you, so then why are you spending your time trying to be exactly like them? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I remember teaching back in 2019 in Maryland. I'm sharing about my 36 touch system and how I built a business solely by referral, and a woman in the room starts crying in the back. I guess apparently now they say that I have that effect on women when I talk, so maybe I need to talk less. But this woman in the back starts crying kind of halfway through the presentation, and I pause and I say, hey, I don't want to put you on the spot at all, but if you don't mind sharing, will you tell us why you're crying? And she looks and she stands up and says, you know what, Garrett, the truth is I've been in the industry for a year. And I love people, and I'm highly relational, and I know that's who I am. But when I came into the industry, everyone told me the only way to succeed was to cold call. So I've been cold calling 2 hours a day, literally every day, Monday through Friday for a year. And Garrett, I hate it. Literally, she said verbatim, I hate it. And it doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and I burn out. And the reason I'm crying is this is the first time I ever heard anyone say, it's okay to be myself, and I can build a business that way. You might feel that way. You might feel like you're doing what everyone told you to do, and it's not working, and it's not who you are. Well, we're going to figure out how to build a business that way. So you are maybe a Lamborghini. Maybe you're a 9-passenger van. Maybe you're a Lamborghini or a Ferrari masquerading as a passenger van. You're pretending to be something you're not. Maybe you might feel like this. Your life is chaos. Your lead generation is crazy. You try 6, 7 different things, and when they don't work, when the new opportunity shows up, you tried that one too, and you spend money there, and you run your wheels, and you're stuck in this rat race, and your profit never grows. Your expenses are always growing, and you never have time. You never have freedom. Maybe you feel like that too. And the reality is, you might be a $15 million agent masquerading as a $5 million agent. Let me say that again. You might be a $15 million agent masquerading as a $5 million agent. What I mean is you're not achieving your potential. You're pretending that you are a low achiever when you're not, because the Lord created us to work well and with excellence. And the reason you're struggling is because you're chasing what your identity is supposed to be in this industry, and you're letting other people tell you what it is. Instead of saying, Lord, who did you make me to be? How do I do that with excellence? That's alignment. Remember, your success is directly tied to how aligned you are with how you were made. The more you're in alignment, the greater your success is going to be. So how do we stop and take time to realign? Just a few questions for you to think through. And write down maybe later if you're not driving your car or whatever. Number one, do I like how I currently do business? Just ask that question. Do I even like how I do business? Number two, what do I naturally do in my free time? What am I naturally doing in my free time? Number three, what am I good at? What brings me energy? What drains my energy? What do I love doing? And by that, I mean pay attention. I have my coaching clients do this, an energy audit. For 3 days, they write down everything they did for every 30 minutes. And they put a plus next to something that brings them energy, a minus next to something that drains them energy, and a circle next to something that doesn't do either one. And at the end of the day, why do we want to understand it? Well, the things that bring you energy are probably what you're naturally good at, right? Even though I'm exhausted and we've got 4 little kids and I didn't sleep last night, coming in here and teaching this and sharing this message to you energizes me. I could talk all day, and Tyler agrees with that. I could talk all day on the podcast, on teaching, on sharing ideas, because this is who I was made to be. Now, you don't have to be me. You're not supposed to be me. Maybe you get fired up by having coffee with somebody. Maybe you recognize, man, my energy is when I'm sitting at the table, walking someone through a difficult negotiation. Maybe you love going to networking events. Maybe you're really introverted and what you love is just the one-on-one connection time. Maybe you love cold calling. Maybe you love door knocking. I don't care what it is. The point is pay attention, because what brings you energy and what you naturally want to do are the things that you're good at, the things that align with who you are. That could be fishing for Jesse. What is he naturally going to do? He's fishing. So since he naturally loves to do that, the Lord wired him that way and wired me to say, I don't really care about fishing. It's not something that I want to do. He's going to be better than me, right? Of course he is. And he's good at it because he loves to do it. That brings him energy. So how does he take the things that he's already going to do, that he's good at, that he loves doing, that bring him energy, and build those into building a business? He invites people in. He invites people in. So I want you to do 3 things. I want you to stop doing 3 things. Stop doing what others tell you to do. Stop being who others tell you to be. And stop doubting your God-given abilities. And here's 3 things I want you to start doing. I want you to start being okay with being yourself. I want you to start being honest with who you are so others can connect with you. I want you to start building a business off of your natural strengths. The more aligned you are with the Legion tactic, the more consistent you'll be on it. The more aligned you are with that Legion tactic, the better you will be at it. If this tactic, if this Legion method is 100% you, and you say, this is me, this is how I want to build this business, you're going to be more consistent because you don't have to choose to show up. You're going to show up. The more aligned you are with that Legion tactic, you don't have to say, how do I get good at this? You're going to show up and want to be good at it. And so you're naturally going to grow and develop your skills. Be aligned and be more consistent. Be aligned and be better at it. That's success in our industry. So I hope that helps. And I want you to be thinking about this at the end of this episode. And we're going to get into the P, the predictable, and the dollar productive. How can you take your natural giftings and build a business? Just ask that question. Spend some time sitting in quiet. Ask yourself the question, how can I take my natural giftings and build a business? The Lord wired you in a certain way. Go do those things well and use them to build a business and glorify the Lord. How can you take your hobbies and invite people in and build a business? Do you love to play pickleball? Do you love to go on walks and you can invite people in your neighborhood? Do you have kids or you're a busy stay-at-home mom and you do real estate on the side? How do you get involved with the local community or encourage people, or you homeschool and you can teach others how to do that? Maybe your hobby is you'd love to go to the gym. Can you invite people in and teach them maybe a little bit about that? Maybe you love finances and you want to encourage people in those ways. Whatever it is, what do you naturally love to do? How do you just do that and invite people in and build a business? And then ultimately, where in business do you need to stop being someone else and start being yourself? Where in business do you need to stop being someone else and start being yourself? So I hope that's an encouragement to you. I really do. It's very easy for us to fall into alignment with the world. We are warned of that, to not fall in love with the world, but it's really easy to do that and act in accordance with who they want us to be. As believers, we've got to rise above that. We've got to lean into how the Lord made us and created us uniquely. Use those specific skills to honor and glorify him, and you will grow a better business, and you will build a better life that honors him by having the freedom to go do the things that you want to do and to show up for your church, to show up for your family, show up for your kids, show up for your friends, whatever it looks like. You'll have the money to give faithfully to the missions that you care about. When we are in alignment, when we act in aligned with who the Lord uniquely made us to be, business is better. It's just that simple. So I hope this is an encouragement to you. Share it with a friend. Give us a follow. Download the episode. Helps us with the algorithm. Reach out if you have questions or need anything at all. And look for the next episode, as we talked about, how do we build a predictable business.